Hey guys, let's talk about last night's episode of The Good Wife. And I will say that this wasn't my absolute favorite episode, but there were a couple of really good scenes, and that was between Will and Peter. And we finally had that confrontation that we knew was going to come because of this possible potential stuffing of the ballots or the election rigging. And I guess back in season 4, Will had gone to Peter and told him that there was a video out there that could come back to potentially harm him. And of course, Peter didn't want to see it. He didn't want to know anything about it. And he told him that he didn't tell him what was on it. He didn't tell him that it was somebody, with $30,000 votes in a ballot box. He didn't say that. He just said that there was something, a piece of video footage that could harm him. And so when they have this confrontation in tonight's episode, it was actually pretty good because, Will lies and says that he told him what was on that video. And Peter's like, no, that's not how I remember it going down. And he's like, well, how do you remember taking Diane off becoming the judge, the Supreme Court judge, off that ballot, like off that ticket? How do you remember that? And so, of course, Will and Peter are like puffing up their chests in this scene. And it's pretty awesome because let's face it, Will has a whole lot of resentment towards Peter, and Peter has a whole lot of resentment towards Will. And they're both using this moment to puff up their chest and see who has the bigger balls, so to speak. And of course, at the end of it, Peter goes to Marilyn and tells her that he has instructed his then lawyer to not answer all of her questions that she wants to know. And of course, she wants to know, did Peter know about this videotape? Did he have anything to do with the fact that these 30,000 ballots were out there and could have helped him in this election or were used to help him in this election? So, that scene alone pretty much made this episode because everything else was pretty much, again, Peter and, not Peter, sorry, but it was Alicia and Carrie going after Will and Diane. And, we've seen this banter go back and forth for quite a few episodes now. And in this episode, it just kind of even got so convoluted that I didn't even really understand the case that they were arguing about and all the different objections and taking the jury in and out of the seats. I mean, some of it was funny, but then it gets to the point where, the jargon that they're using as lawyers is so complicated that, on top of everything, it just didn't quite work. So I found that was a bit distracting in this episode. One of the other good things that kind of happened in this episode was we got some scenes between Carrie and, oh my goodness, Kalinda. And as you know, if you've seen my past reviews, I am really not liking the way that they handle Kalinda this season. Last season was a dismal fail, and this season it just seems like, they're just not really throwing her a bone. Like she's just sort of an afterthought in cases, or she's just, hooking up with a girl here, or she's flirting with a guy here, and she's always to get information. And they've just made her like a caricature, in my opinion, than they have like a full-fledged character on the show. So, of course, back in the day, Carrie and Kalinda had a relationship, or he wanted to pursue a relationship more than she wanted to pursue it back. But they had a good friendship. And so they kind of got back on track in this friendship, and they sort of, we've come to the point where it's sort of like let bygones be bygones. And of course, we all know that Kalinda's going to do anything she can for her job. And she basically tells Carrie that, don't think that I'm going to choose our friendship over my job, because I'm not. And he even, plays her hand by giving her faulty information to see if she'll run with it. And of course she does. And then of course it backfires in her face, and Carrie and Alicia benefit from it. But what it did was ultimately say, okay, we're even now, let's go back to being friends. And it led to a nice scene of them going off and having some drinks together. So, that was kind of fun to see, and good to see that they're moving Kalinda in a direction where at least she has a friend on the show, because at this point she's got nobody. She's not friends with Alicia anymore. And, she hasn't been friends with Carrie for a while. And if she's not, hooking up with some whack cop lady, she's tailing this other guy, and it's just kind of like, she's better than this. Her character is better than this. So I was glad to see that. take form in this episode. But all in all, just an okay episode of this week. Hopefully we will start to get an end to this whole, war between the two law firms. I mean, I know that's not going to happen, but at least let's hope it's going in a direction that won't become annoying, which I'm fearing it might, because we're sort of beating the same drum over and over again now, and we need it to go in a different direction. So that has been my review for The Good Wife. Let me know what you thought of the episode, and I will see you when the show returns. I think in like 3 weeks or something, or maybe it doesn't come back until March, something like that. I think pretty much a lot of these shows are coming back for a really short period of time. Then they're taken off, I think, because the Olympics are coming up and they're just going on hiatus for quite a bit. So I don't think the show comes back for a while. So that will free up my Sundays, and I will have a little bit more time to watch everything else that I'd like to watch. All right, guys, that has been my review. I will see you next time.